Hi, my name's Fred. I drink beer. Welcome to Beers from the Basement, where I bring vintage beers up from my cellar and we enjoy them together. Welcome back to another episode of Beers from the Basement. Today's show I'm calling An Old Guy Drinks Old Stock. And our beer for today, our theme for today, I'm going to be drinking North Coast Brewing Old Stock Ale. Now this one I'm not going to drink. This is from 2001. They started producing it in 2000, so it's not quite the original batch. But I think this may be my last bottle of it. I might have two left. And I don't want to drink this one if I think it might be the last one. So you're not going to get that one today. But I am going to start off with a 2004. And luckily I've got evenly spaced in 3-year periods up to 2013. So we'll have a good test. I guess I'm not holding it straight. One of the things I learned last week was too many strong beers makes for an uninteresting video. So there was a little bit of hiss there as I cracked the cap, and it does have a pry-off cap, so there should be a little bit of carbonation left. Now there's not much. Beer looks pretty clear as I pour it, and let's give this a whiff. It mostly smells good. I get malt and some sweetness, and there's something that might be an ester from the yeast. First reaction was sort of almost like a solvent, but I'm not getting that anymore, which solvent wouldn't be good. Now I can see there is a little bit of carbonation in there as I hold it up. And that's a nice beer. It's well oxidized. There's not as bad as the Bigfoot I had of similar age. Nice little bit of sherry notes. You're getting a lot of you're getting malty sweetness and sort of dark fruit, raisin, plum kind of notes, which is what I would expect in this beer. That's going to go down well. That's danger. So alcohol 11.4%, brewed and bottled by North Coast Brewing Company, Fort Bragg, California. Old stock ale. Limited release, though they do brew it every year. Nothing else on the label. It's a very British beer. It's brewed with 100% Maris Otter, English Maris Otter malts, and I believe they use only English hops, Fuggles and Kent Goldings. It's got, according to the webpage, about 34 IBUs, which is not that much. I mean, 34 IBUs in a pale lager is a lot. 34 IBUs in a beer of this gravity is not much. So that's why it's on the sweet side. As a comparison, Thomas Hardy, which is sort of a comparable style of beer, is I think is about 40, so there's a little bit more hops in that. Now they said the starting gravity was well over 1.1 or 1.100, as the home brewers would say. So that's quite a hefty beer. Now they do say they did brew this to be aged. They would say buy one and save one. And I first had it, I think in 2001, and I maybe bought a 6-pack of it and really liked it. And then 2002, I think I bought 2 6-packs. And then starting in 2004, I don't seem to have any 2003, but I could be wrong. But starting in 2004, I bought a case every year. Again, not every year, but many years up till about 2013, which is kind of when I stopped collecting beer. So we have a bunch of vintages to try today. So I would bring this beer to Belgium to friends I had there who didn't particularly like hoppy beers, including Dirk at the Covidtide. In fact, one beer they always have on draft year-round is some vintage of Bush Noel, and he really likes that beer. I would say he drinks a lot of it, but if you say, "Hey, Derek, can I buy you a beer?" he'll pour himself a very small Bush Noel. And not that this tastes like Bush Noel, but it's closer to that than, say, and he is a nice man, even though he has some people think he's grumpy. They'll bring him, a double IPA or a triple IPA or some hop monster, and he'll, nod and say thank you very much. And he may drink it. He may share it with friends who like hoppy beers, but he likes them on the malty side and sweet side. And so I would bring him bottles of this from time to time. I haven't in a while, and because I started going carry-on. But I think my next trip to Belgium, I'll have to bring a bottle or two for. So I'm going to pause and get a picture of this, and then I'm going to open the other ones in quick order and taste them all together, because I think that's probably the most educational. So we'll see in a minute. Okay, I'm back with my North Coast 2004 Old Stock. It's a stock ale or an old ale. And it's drinking very nice. It's nice and still malty, a little bit of sherry notes. And it's going down really, really fast for 11.5% beer. So next up is a 2007, so 3 years later. Quite a label redesign. And cap, the cap's changed too. The cap is pretty much the same. Not a lot of hiss. And let's see how again, it's looking pretty clear. Not much carbonation. These beers are not highly carbonated to start with. And so 2007, a little bit more carbonated than the 2004, though not what I would call highly carbonated. I can see there's some bubbles clinging to the side a little bit. Nose is pretty much the same, malt and dark fruit. Taste is pretty much the same too. Boy, I would be hard pressed to say this is a little more carbs, got some more carbonation, so I'm getting some, little prickliness on the tongue, which is I like drinking when I'm drinking beer. It's maybe a tad less oxidized. It's hard to tell. It's it's maybe a tad sweeter and a tad less oxidized, though a very, very small amount. I wouldn't care to measure it. The bottle is fairly much the same, except for the color. Well, we can hold them both up here. Actually, they move the logo from the top to the bottom, and they move the name of the beer from the bottom to the top, and change the background color. And they added a neck label. The 2004 did not have a neck label, and you can't really, on the looking at it, you can't really hardly make out the 2004. It's overlaid on Old Stock Ale in a very faint color. Same way here, but the 2007 is prominent on the neck label, whereas on the label here it's a little hard to read. Otherwise, pretty much the same. North Coast Brewing, alcohol 11.7%. Brewed and bottled by North Coast Brewing, Fort Bragg, California. And their URL, northcoastbrewing.com. Anyway, back to 2007 Old Stock. And the 2004. And they're very, very similar, and it would be hard pressed to tell them apart. Now I'm not going to pause this. I'm going to move right along my glass for the 2010. Label's a little ratty, but it's pretty much the same label, at least first look, as the 2007. So a little bit more of a pop there. The cap is pretty much the same. The cap actually is slightly different, though it would be hard, maybe a little hard to tell. I'll hold them up. And also fairly clear. Now this one looks, well, it's hard to tell at this point. It looks to be a little less brown, not quite as dark. And it's a little more carbonated. I'll hold them both up so you can see. Nose is mostly malt, and maybe some, almost like rum, molasses. That's just the malty sweetness, I think. My nose fooling me. Now this tastes very much like what I remember an Old Stock. Again, I haven't had one probably in 5 or 6 years. I think I've had 2 since I stopped buying the cases. So it's quite a bit more carbonated and a little more lively, a little less oxidized. Tastes pretty much the same. I'm guessing from this they don't. This is the first time I've done a comparison. My guess is they probably don't change the recipe much. Other than the normal tweaks one has to do because the malt and the hops are different every year. But it's pretty much similar. Label really is identical except for the year. I don't see any other changes. Say this is 2010, so I've got a 3-year pattern going. And I'm going to pause here for a second and we'll get some pictures and then discuss them a little bit more. And I have one more after that. And who knows, I may end up, well, we'll see. Anyway, we'll see in a minute. Okay, I'm back with my 2010 North Coast Old Stock Ale, and it's going down too easily for 11.7%. I say the head went down pretty quickly. There wasn't much, though I would expect a little bit more from a 11-year-old beer. The Bigfoot that that I had. I think there was a 2010 or around that in there, and that had a little more carbonation. And so then I have the 2007. Again, I really can't see any. Just rotate the label so you can see. I can't really tell any difference. 2010, 2007. They really look the same. The 10 has a little bit more carbonation left. Flavor-wise, it's you know, dead nuts on. I know how to describe it. They're very similar beers. And then I have the 2004, again 2007, 2004. Color's the same, the flavor's the same, except for there's some oxidation. I'm getting oxidation on the 2004. I get a little bit, maybe a tad, and it's probably my imagination. On the 2007, I mean, it's held up very well. On the 2010, is very nice. I believe I have most of a case, probably two-thirds of a case of all of these, so I need to start drinking them. So, well, I have one more. I say this is going along too quickly, so wrong glass. So I do have left one more, 2013, and you can see the label has changed quite a bit there. They have just all around. It's hard to describe. They've gone to, I don't think they did on the other one. The O has a hop cone in it from the old stock. And the old stock ale is very prominent, whereas on the previous one, the logo is very prominent. Now the logo is, North Coast logo is quite small. And they do on the side, I'm not going to tilt it, but they say, don't put it in a pint glass, dummy. Put it in a, you know, a tulip shape. And the official, I went on the website just to check, and the official North Coast glass, the old stock glass, is it's not a teku, but it's more of a you know, a goblet. I'm not sure what the technical term for the glasses are. It's not a wide open goblet like a Chimay. It's a narrower, it's kind of like a Meritsu glass if you've ever seen one of those. So old stock 2013, it is quite a bit lighter and is very carbonated. Much more so than I would have expected from the 2010. It's only 3 years different. There's been 3 years difference along the way, and I'll do the beer first and come to the bottle later. I'm not getting much in the nose. I think I'm getting carbon dioxide, which you can't smell, but and a little bit of maltiness. Again, much more lively. I mean, the carbonation, I'm getting prickly, tingly. My tongue's gone all tingly. Flavor-wise, now to me it does taste a little different, and that could just be the carbonation. The color, it's noticeably, it's maybe hard for you to tell, the 2010 and the 2013. To me, holding it up to my light, it's definitely reddish, whereas the 2010 is brown. I mean, this is a dark red. In fact, if I hold it up to the light, I get some red highlights even through the beer. Now, looking at the bottle, one thing that jumps to mind is it's now 11.9% alcohol. So that's only 0.2% higher, but that sort of leads to me maybe they changed something. The label, it has the brewmaster's signature on it, and I should know it's Mark, and I should know his name, and I don't know, Rendell. I'll look that up, and I feel embarrassed, and I apologize. I should know his name. Otherwise, nothing new on the label other than oops, pour beer on myself. There's a, if I can, and you can see there's you see on a lot of Belgian beers there will be the glass they recommend, and it says recommending serving temperature 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is probably a little colder than that. But it is a beer that doesn't need to be, it's best not served really cold. And nothing else, there's no back label, they have the government warning on the side, and the barcode and the bottle deposit on the other side. So, but it definitely a new label. And I actually haven't seen a recent one, so I don't know if they've kept up with that style or they've gone to something newer. Boy, it is it wouldn't surprise me if they tweaked the recipe a little bit, because the difference between the 2010 and the 2013 is more than three years in the basement. It's still very good. And this just could be, you know, I'm drinking a lot of nearly 12% beer, but I think a little bit more alcohol. I can feel some alcohol warming, and yeah, it's a tough one. You know, it's heresy, but I think I'm almost liking the 2010 a little more. That was the 2007 and now the 2004. The 2004 is definitely getting into the, you know, the old beer category, the vintage beer rather than aged beer. But I'm finding the 2013 a bit harsh even. I mean, not bad on its own. I think I would find it perfectly fine. But it doesn't go down as well as the 2010. The 2010, you say, I would like it to be a little bit more carbonated. I would like it better if it was a little more carbonated. I'm not faulting it, but the 2013, I'm a little disappointed. I've opened a few of these, I think, in some of the past videos, but you know, I haven't done a time series. No, I'm not going to not drink. It's not going to water the plants. Don't worry, and you can shut up over there, Sunflower. You're not getting this. But I'm enjoying the 2010 more, and I don't know if you can see the color. The 13 and the 10, and it, to me, up from this side, it's definitely got a redder hue, and some of that is oxidation, I'm sure, but I don't get much oxidation in the flavor of the 2010. So that, with the change in the alcohol, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a recipe change. And Well, I'm going to pause here for a second, get a picture of the beer, and come back with some final thoughts. So I'm back with my 2013 North Coast Brewing Old Stock Ale, and as I said before, I liked it, but I find it a little bit rough, a little bit harsh compared to the 2010. Make sure I get the right bottle. The 2010 just may be the sweet spot. I have, and I gotta excuse my reach here, 2007, which is very much like the 2010, just a tad more oxidized. And then my first bottle was the 2004, which again tastes very much like the 7 and the 10, but is more oxidized and is moving into that sherry, vintage beer category. And I do also have a 2001 that I'm not going to open today, so just like look at it and weep. In the pause while I was taking the picture, I had a brilliant thought so I got to remember to mention that when I turn the camera back on. Now, of course, I can't remember it. Maybe it'll come back while I drink these. That's the problem when you're drinking beer, essentially 12 roundup, 12%. I say last week I did 5 of Bigfoot, which is basically 10%, and that was a bridge too far. So I'm going to go through them one more time for you. There's 2004, which is a bit, it's definitely brown. I'm getting a little bit of sherry in the nose, and mostly malty sweetness. And in the flavor, it's nice. I mean, it's not balanced. It's on the sweet side. They're lacking of hops. In fact, if I'd saved some of the Bigfoot, had some fresh Bigfoot, I might put a drop in just to give it some more bitterness. Because I'm finding all of these, the sweetness is building up, and that's one of the things I like about hoppy beers in a certain scale. When you get up into the double IPA, the hop flavor can build up, but one of the reasons sort of bitter, dry beers are popular the world over is they're drinkable, but also with the bitterness they don't seem sweet, so they don't get cloying after a while. So then there's the 2007, which is really the 2004 with less oxidation. I get a little bit, just the beginnings of oxidation, which says something about their bottling technique and the fact that they didn't use twist-off caps. But I've had, I'm thinking this is 13, 14 years old, and I've had Belgian beers that old that had more oxidation, so they've got a good bottling line. Purge the beers of oxygen and good caps. Then there's the 2010. I haven't been showing them in comparison, which to me, by looks, I couldn't tell the difference. By taste, in the 2007, I got a tad of oxidation, a tad of sherry. I don't get any on the 2010. I just get nice maltiness. No, and all of these, there's no perceptible hops. There's no perceptible bitterness, though. It obviously is there, because otherwise these would be too sweet to drink. And I don't remember if I got to the 2013 in my ramblings. And don't get me wrong, it's a very nice beer, and you can see it's still got some carbonation. It's been a few minutes. On its own, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it's if it's not a different beer, if it's not, the recipe has changed, and again, it's hard to tell here. Maybe if I tilt it a little bit. This is the 2010 and the 2013, and I think you can see the 2013 definitely looks redder, and some of that is oxidation, but not all of it. Who knows? Maybe North Coast will see this video and they'll respond and tell me, no, we didn't change the recipe. I said, oh yeah, how astute of you. We changed the recipe in 2012. Like I say, I like it, but I like the 2010 version better. And I think I have more bottles of the 2010 than the 2013. I'm not sure. I think the 2013, I didn't buy a full case. I think I remember there was a time I went and they didn't have a case, and so they had 10 or 12 bottles. So I bought all the loose bottles they had at my local beer store. And so I don't think I have a full case of that, but I still have some bottles left. I'm really in rambling, and we'll see how much I need to fill. In the past, I've had to cut stuff down. Maybe I need a filler time. I'm going to go in reverse order this time with 2004. You say, which is nice, but it's got the, this is a Culminator beer. If I were drinking this at the Culminator, would be happy as a vintage beer brought up from the cellar covered in dust, which it actually was. 2007, pretty much the same, just not as oxidized. It's a hint of it's sort of on the cusp. I bet you in another year or two I would be talking about the nice oxidation of this one. And I have these slightly out of order. The 2010 is my sweet spot. I am that one's worth 2 sips. That is a very nice beer. 11 years old. It tastes similar to the 7 and the 4, but it's just not oxidized hardly at all. And if it were more carbonated, the one thing it's lost is its carbonation, and I'm not a stickler for that, but that's one of the things I kind of, I like beers to fight me back a little bit, when it's the carbonation on your tongue, sort of saying, we're not going down easy, you're going to have to fight me. And then the 2013, which I don't mean to, damn it with faint praise. It's a very good beer on its own, but I get some harshness to it, and I get an alcohol burn to it, almost it's not unpleasant. But it's on the cusp. If it was a few degrees more, whatever degrees are, I would say, well, I'm not liking this beer. I do like it on its own. I would like it, but the 2010 is much better. And on that note, I think I'm going to call it a day. So as always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. We'll see what happens next week. I have some interesting ideas between the Bigfoot and the old stock. I have some of the same vintages of both, so maybe we'll do a pair off. Who knows? Watch this space. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you like the video, be sure and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I'm up to 32 subscribers. That's like I'm only thing that would make me happier. I had way too much beer. The only thing that would make me happier is to be in Prague or Bamberg or Dusseldorf or anywhere in Belgium or in London, drinking the local beer with my local friends. And so keep those positive thoughts. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Hit the like button. And in the meantime, good beers to you.